The following is a production of WEGL 91.1 FM.
That ball is gone! It's a walk-off home run for Stephen Williams!
WEGL Sports,
The Tigers are headed to the College World Series!
where every
Touchdown Auburn! Zakoby McClain!
game
They're not going to keep him off the field tonight! Holy cow!
lives. And welcome inside the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM and WEGLFM.com. Hello everybody, it is your beautiful, handsome, dashing, stunning, award-winning, talented host Jared Dillon, and joining me from wherever they may be is Jacob Hillman, Davis Carroll, Jack Hart, and Alex Houston. Alex, we'll start with you first. How are you doing this fine morning?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty stacked weekend of sports. A lot of crazy things happened, so it's a pretty good weekend. I'm doing pretty good.
How did Kyle Allen treat you on his first time out? And then Alex Smith.
Wait, what?
I said, how did Kyle Allen treat you on his first time out? And then Alex Smith.
Washed -6 yards of offense in the second half.
All right, that sucks. Jack, you're up next. How you doing this fine morning?
I'm doing pretty good, Jared. It was a pretty loaded weekend of sports, and it looks like it's not slowing down anytime soon as MLB playoff rolls on, and college and NFL start to get a little more exciting. We'll see what happens.
Davis, how about you?
It's all right, but I got some beef with Spectrum because we had a power outage on Thursday, and my internet has been out since.
That's tough.
I'm on a hotspot. So
I was about to ask how was this happening, but okay. Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry about your Call of Duty matches.
I know I can't play any. It sucks.
Oh, you guys have to pay attention to that during the show. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll find another way to.
You can play offline stuff. Just
yeah,
fire
I'll play
up a
the
game
single
mode.
player. It'll be so much fun.
Well, and Jacob, how about you? How you doing this morning?
Doing well. Panthers got a win yesterday. Auburn survived Saturday. And like Alex said, it was a stacked weekend of sports, and that was exciting to watch and pay attention to.
There's a lot to break down on today's show, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. First things first, the Los Angeles Lakers are your 2020 NBA champions as they survived the bubble against the Miami Heat, defeating the Heat 106-93 in Game 6. LeBron James with 28 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists. He was your NBA Finals MVP. The Lakers win their 17th championship, tied for first, and downtown LA was chanting Kobe all night long. It was an end to one of the most dramatic, heart-wrenching, emotional seasons that the NBA has ever seen. And guess what? They got to do it all again in the next couple of months, because the NBA will be back in December, barring any other changes that may or may not happen. But the Lakers are your champions. I think most of us knew that the Lakers would eventually prevail. A lot of us said 5 games. The Heat said, we'll do it in 6, and they did it in 6. So they got 2 games out of it. But Jimmy Butler and the Heat showed that they're a really good team. I don't know if you saw Eric Spoelstra's post-game press conference, but it was very emotional as well. So let's go ahead and start the show just getting opening thoughts on the Lakers championship win. Obviously, it wasn't surprised to see that J.R. Smith was the first person shirtless and the first person to touch the trophy and everything. So I think he's ready to get out the bubble and start partying. I'll let you guys have the floor on the Lakers championship win over the Heat.
They left Quinn Cook.
Well,
you saw that, right?
You said they left Quinn Cook? What, they leave
Yeah.
the bubble without him?
On the team bus, they left him at the arena.
Good.
Because J.R. Smith has like an Instagram live going, and Quinn Cook says, make a U-turn. It's like, oh, I guess I got to walk after winning a ring or something like that.
Why
And it's
does
like,
every
okay,
time
that's
something
tough.
like this happens, somebody gets left?
Because it's chaos.
I mean, you saw how loud they were going in the locker room.
I guess
Kyle Kuzma was very drunk while he was doing his press conference.
Oh, that's all right. If I won a championship, I'd be not in the right mind either. Is the way I'll put that. Uh, for the Lakers, 17th championship, doing it in one of the most unprecedented years in NBA history. I mean, we can argue all day about whether LeBron actually deserved that NBA Finals MVP. I mean, I don't really care. Give it to him. Uh, and you know, the crazy thing is, at when they interviewed him on the court, obviously, in front of everybody, the one quote that jumped out, he just said, "quote I just want my damn respect." And a just a question, because I mean I feel like he's right, but did he already have said respect that he's looking for, or did he earn it last night?
He didn't earn it last night because last night, the argument last night or for this season is, oh, it's an asterisk season, bubble, no home court advantage, yada yada yada. He didn't have to go through Giannis. He didn't have to go through the Clippers. He went through teams that you didn't expect him to have to go through. So I wouldn't say he earned any the people that didn't respect him didn't did not start respecting him because of what happened this season.
Davis, what do you think about LeBron's statement?
The one that he deserves respect.
Yes.
Well, I think he does to some extent, and I am now taking more into consideration if he's the GOAT or not. But I will say that this was kind of an easy team, and down the line, now people are going to say LeBron played scrubs. He played plumbers, and they're going to look at this team.
That's true. I mean, you always see the pictures of players from Jordan's era, and there's obviously the plumbers and scrubs argument, and then you've got that starting lineup picture where it's Jimmy Butler and then like who else was it? It was Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero,
Myers Leonard and
and
Jay
somebody
Crowder.
else. Oh yeah,
Yep.
Miles. Yeah. So I
But
mean,
it seemed like in the beginning of the series, people were praising the Heat for how young they were and how talented and how they built through the draft and had all these young players. So why did that change once they
Well,
lost?
back in the day, they probably praised the Jazz for being a good team, but now looking back at it, everybody says they're bums
I mean, Jared, that's how it works.
because they forget who those players were, that they were actually decent. Nobody's going to remember who Myers Leonard is in 20 years.
Exactly.
Nobody's gonna remember what the Nuggets did, even though they were in the conference championship, right?
Exactly. It's the same thing applies for all of them. People, it's like you look at revisionist history at the peak of it is, Jordan's first championship against the Lakers. Everybody now will say, oh, the Lakers were old, even though that was Magic's best season of his career was that season. Nobody seems to remember that. It's the same thing applies. It's always like that. It's always, oh, they should win, but then the second that they don't, it's like, oh, well, they never stood a chance, yada, yada, yada. That's just how it works. And I mean, that's how people are going to say it. And it's just, yeah, I mean, and as for him getting respect, I mean, the people that don't respect him yet are never going to, because when in doubt, this season gets a bit of an asterisk if you really want to give it one. And nobody that does not respect LeBron is ever going to forget 2011 when he scored 8 points in an entire game against the Dallas Mavericks. So I don't think there's anything he can do at this point, which I think he has a hard time accepting that at some points because I think he wants to be universally praised. Because again, for all the hatred, he was a global loved. The only people that didn't love him were the people that he beat. And I think LeBron has been going after that for a while and has not really been able to accept the villain role because he did when he was in Miami. And I think he hoped it would, end. It hasn't.
For one of the most popular athletes in the world, he does receive a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And you've got the Messis and Ronaldos that might be a little more play, but the only hate for them is from the other side, Messi versus Ronaldo, whereas LeBron does get a lot more hate than other athletes. I mean, I guess a comparison would be Tom Brady. and I don't think Brady even gets the hate that LeBron gets.
Yeah. I mean, when he went to join Miami in 2010, he very much took on this sort of villain of the NBA role, and he embraced it at the time. But I think he expected it was like a temporary thing. I think he expected that after the fact, he'd be able to just, because when he was in Cleveland, nobody really hated him in Cleveland that first stint. Because, I mean, again, it was hard to hate a guy who was on some awful team and he carried them that far. But I think he expected it to, revert back to that, and it never has. I don't think it ever will because he says a lot of controversial things, and a lot of people are very protective of Jordan. And, well, LeBron is Jordan's biggest threat, I guess. So I think he's very much going to be, no matter how many championships he wins, he will be stuck in roughly the same spot, which he shouldn't care about it because, I mean, again, every athlete's got their haters, and that's part of it, And, I mean, who cares what they think? But I also think he secretly cares a lot more about it than he probably lets on to. Like he talked about, somebody asked him about that, and he said, at the end of the day, everybody's going to go back to their same old miserable lives or whatever. His haters in that. And, that was tough, but how he wants his respect. So I think he still somewhat cares about those people. Maybe.
Yeah, just looking at, I know this is really early, and by really early, I mean we're less than 12 hours out. But looking at the 2021 NBA championship odds, the Lakers obviously do lead the way. In second place is the Clippers. Putting a lot of stock in the Clippers, I guess reloading and kind of shooting out of the gate. Following them are the Bucks, Warriors, and Nets to round out the top 5. So those are your 2021 NBA championship odds. And we don't know what that season's going to look like, but hopefully it's a little bit more normal than what this past season was.
It'll probably be. Go ahead, Jacob.
I was going to say, I know that Adam Silver wants fans at games, and he said he's willing to push the season back a little more if that's what it takes to get fans there. So
now,
do you mean to see when it starts?
Because did he mean full capacity fans or
I don't
limited
think so.
Fans? Okay,
I'm thinking limited fans. I don't think that's honestly. I don't think that's a a
possibility
reality in the near future.
Unless you're in Florida, apparently.
True.
We'll talk about Florida in a second, and that crazy Dan Mullen needs to get off his high horse.
Yep.
But I mean, the way the NBA. First of all, let's congratulate the NBA on their bubble because they had 0 positive tests, even though Lou Williams tried to get them some wings, and Daniel House was doing some things that was probably not a good idea. 0 positive tests. I mean, congratulations to the NBA, and I can't say it enough. The NHL deserves all the praise too.
Yep.
When we look back at it, they won't because remember they're the number 4 sport in the United States, right? And they were in Canada.
They're number 5.
Who's in front of them?
College football.
No, you're right.
Heck, put college basketball in front of them while you're at it as well.
I mean, if we're gonna go down that road,
Put college baseball in front of it too.
all right, calm down.
Now you're.
I'm just saying, if we're gonna get all ticky tacky about it,
I mean,
let's just get as ticky tacky about it.
I mean, I've seen the ratings for swimming and diving events, but hockey well when we look back in 10-15 years about what happened during 2020, the NBA will get praised, but the hockey will be pushed on the back burner. They deserve all the praise as well for how well they handled the situation. Yeah. I mean, they left the country to do it, so I mean, I think that tells you a lot about how much they took that into account.
Not to mention, I think the NBA has given certain leagues a blueprint for how to do it. Like, for example, how the NCAA can handle March Madness. I mean,
and all these early season tournaments that even I know that Auburn is in. I think I saw the other day the Auburn's matchup with Gonzaga. God help us.
Yep.
So
when's the tip off?
That's what I'm saying. When is tip off? They said what is it late November that they're gonna try to tip off?
It's gonna be that tournament might be like the first 2 days, like the 25th, the day the season tips off.
Oh, good. I'll need something Auburn when that season tips off. So let's go ahead and segue from the Lakers in their bubble to Auburn football and getting a bubble burst because Auburn beat Arkansas by a score of 30 to 28 on a game-winning field goal by Anders Carlson. But I don't know really where to start with this game. So
Let's look at the positive, which is Tank Bigsby and how great
Tank,
of a running back he's going to be. I would say it already is. I mean, we saw the improvement from literally the first 3 weeks. Just week 1, limited, did okay.
yeah,
Week 2 against Georgia, he was a leading receiver, and I mean, he showed a little bit of what he showed on Saturday, and then of course on Saturday, just absolutely opened it up and playing harder than anyone else on the field, and really solidifying himself as the feature back in the Auburn offense. I love watching him, and I think everyone else does too, just because of the way he is very difficult to take down. And I don't think that's just an Arkansas thing. I think he's going to run the same way he runs against Arkansas. He's going to run the same way against South Carolina this week. He's going to run the same way against LSU. It'll be interesting to see how the offense evolves around him because I think that's what's got to happen. I think it's got to be Tank Bigsby front and center of this offense.
Tank Bigsby had 4 receptions for 16 yards out of the backfield, but the big story came on the ground. 20 carries, 146 yards. His longest run was 26. Although he did not have a touchdown, it didn't really matter. And when you average 7 yards a carry, you're going to carry that offense. And, give a shout out to DJ Williams. He had 8 carries for 71 yards and had about 9 yards a carry. When Tank needed a breather, DJ Williams came in clutch. And so I think Auburn has a great 1-2 combo punch with those two. I mean, it sucks that Sean Shivers, who had that big moment against Alabama, and he got hurt in the beginning of the season, is kind of probably going to find himself in a limited role because of how well those two are doing. But, I mean, Auburn's always been a school that, produces all these running backs that always take center stage. And it's a hard room to win. And when your ticket is, called, you got to step up to the plate. And that's what Tank Bigsby and to another effect, DJ Williams is doing.
So, I definitely think that there's still a role for Shivers, though.
Oh, yeah.
And there should be because, I mean, your alternative is if you don't run it with any of those 3 guys, you're asking Bo to step back on an offensive line that is incapable of giving him the time to throw. So honestly, just keep running the ball.
Oh, wait. We're still on the let's name the good things.
Positive.
I know.
The positives.
And believe me, Tank Bigsby's his big positive that he can compensate for the offensive line's ineptitude, so it all works out great.
Positives.
Oh no, I mean no. Make no mistake about it. As I'm watching that game unfold, I'm talking to my friends. I'm telling you, I mean, you start out and you're like, oh, Tank Bigsby's going to be really good. Like you think he's going to be really good. He's a freshman, and that's just how it works. Then as the game goes on, you're like, no, he's not going to be really good. He is, and that's because we haven't had really consistent running back play since 2017, I would say. I mean, because even Whitlow, as great as he was, he had his fair share of issues, specifically fumbling the football. We all know that, I think. And I mean, Bigsby, he finds a way to just fall forward and gain extra yards. And it just, like I remember specific play, I couldn't tell you when it was. I just remember it was like 2nd and long, and Bo just has to check it down to Bigsby like behind the line of scrimmage. And it's like, okay, there's 3 Arkansas players in front of him. I expect him to get 3-4 yards here. And he breaks 2 or 3 tackles and gets like 9 yards on that play alone. And that's just the kind of difference maker stuff that he provides because he can turn plays that are relatively nothing into something and just move the offense forward a bit. And I think that's his best attribute, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he is 110% from snap to whistle.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single play. And, you can say that. But when you watch Tank, you're kind of just in awe, like how he makes something out of nothing, how he turns something into a massive gain. It's just what you expect from him. Go ahead and, raise those expectations on that play because he's going to break a tackle or two.
I will say they need to start incorporating him into the passing game because he's clearly, I think, Auburn's best player in the open field just because of the fact that he can just get those extra yards and just make people miss, which I don't think Auburn really has that with anybody else. They've got fast
They
guys.
did they did do that against Georgia.
Yeah. And I think it'll continue, especially if the offense struggles again like they did against Georgia. Tank will be relied on more.
Another positive, which I'm not sure if anybody's talked about yet, but Schwartz had his best game as an Auburn Tiger. 10 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. And halfway through that game, I was thinking to myself, halfway through the game, all Schwartz was doing was the dink and dunks, the swing passes, and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I was thinking to myself at halftime of that game, I was like, if Schwartz was in the Big 12 or the Big 10, he'd be a first round wide receiver. But he's this gadget player at Auburn, and he'll never break out. And then the second half, finally, he started breaking open, and they started finding him in creases and things like that. I still stand by that. If he was in any other conference, he's a first round pick. But
if Schwartz was in the Big 12, he'd be a Heisman candidate, to be honest. I mean, seriously, because we've seen what they've done with the likes of Tyreek Hill and Hollywood Brown. I mean, it's very, and again, you can see it at Bama because at a certain point, their receivers are all talented, but they just utilize the fact that they're faster than anybody else, which Schwartz is.
like, I would need to go back and watch the actual game, like watching downfield. But how many times does Schwartz just streak downfield and let's just throw him the ball? Because I feel like it's not as often as I would like.
Yeah, and I would say it's a very frustrating because we've seen with this offense and with Gus, he's very much about setting things up. Like they'll just do ridiculous runs up the middle constantly just to set up a play action pass. They'll do it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But for manner speaking, just if you send Schwartz deep 3 or 4 times a game, you complete it once, you may miss it twice, but that has to keep the defense honest. Then when you send him deep again, they may send a safety or another guy at him, which leaves the middle of the field more open. And that's just should do, and they don't.
You know what? Okay, I'm done talking about the positives. Let's get into the real crux of this game.
All right.
Okay. Auburn was trailing 28-27 late in that game. Bo Nix engineered a drive downfield and to set Auburn up in field goal position. He needed to spike the ball in order to stop the clock, and he did. But it was a backward spike. One that the ball bounced around. Arkansas fell on it, but that was after a referee blew the play dead. The play went under review. They said, yeah, it's intentional grounding, penalty on Auburn, but it's not a clear recovery by Arkansas. Auburn keeps the ball. I was scared for my life up inside the TV booth, sitting next to the Arkansas coaches, but that's neither here nor there. And then Auburn kicks a game-winning field goal. Situation was so dire, the SEC released a statement on the game, and quite frankly, yeah, that probably should have been a recovery by Arkansas. And Arkansas probably should have walked away with that win because the way Auburn played, a lot of fans feel as though Auburn didn't deserve that win. And I can't say I don't disagree with that statement. So it was a pretty mediocre showing, I'll say that, from Auburn football against Arkansas. I don't think anybody will deny that. What are the reactions from Auburn's close game against Arkansas? I will let all of you breathe right now. Breathe.
One thing I'll say about the spike is that that's the reason the rule's in place the way it is about the whistle and the immediate recovery is because we kind of don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
With the recovery, because I kind of think that Auburn might have recovered, like Shedrick Jackson might have recovered the ball if it weren't for the whistle being blown. Maybe not. That's the thing we don't know. We don't know what would have happened if it weren't for the whistle being blown. So it is unfortunate that the game ended that. I wouldn't say ended that way, but that was a major play in the game that helped Auburn win. What I'll say is Bowden's got to be a little more aware, and he can't, because when he fumbled the snap, he got ticked off and he was immediately turning to the ref, and you can't do that. You just got to stay with it. But other than that, thoughts about the win. I mean, the offensive line And the defensive line at least got pass rush, but other than that, it's hard to see. I haven't seen many improvements, and I don't
Yeah,
know when we will.
yeah. Credit to the defense. I mean, they were missing some key players. Obviously, we know
No,
that
that is
KJ.
true.
We know KJ Britt's out for an indefinite period of time after he had surgery on his thumb or his hand. Uh, Big Cat, I don't even think played on Saturday.
Oh,
He was out. I think Jalen Simpson was in. The way they
He was
described it,
available in an emergency.
yeah, he was available in an emergency. Is the way they described it. So I, I haven't even checked the snap count for all the players. I don't think he even got in the game, as far as I know. So I mean Auburn. I mean those are three big players for Auburn, and none of them played. Uh, but I mean, just because you're out big players, I mean you're Auburn. You're Auburn. Your defense has been renowned for the last couple of years, and now you've seen Kentucky, Georgia, and to an extent, I say to an extent, no, you did see Arkansas, kind of have their way with Auburn's defense so far, and that's something that we're not really used to. Is Auburn's defense kind of being I don't say a liability, but I'm not. Every time Auburn defense takes the field, it's not. Oh, let's get his 3-and-out stop, or let's limit them to one first down. It's how's this team gonna go down the field and score on us this time? Cause it seemed like that's what Arkansas was doing. Uh, it seemed like a good game in the beginning, 17-0. It seemed like we were on our way to a rout, and then I guess the rain started falling and things changed. Davis, I'll go to you next. Auburn's win against Arkansas. How you feeling about it?
I'm glad we won, but I wasn't happy with the game leading up to it. Offensive wise, I was happy with the run game. Pass game kind of struggled to begin with. I feel like we can do better on that. But the defense, as you were just saying, I think I'm not sure if it's lack of talent or I'm not gonna say lack of coaching because we know Kevin Steele can coach pretty well. But recently they're just getting through the gaps and they're getting long runs on us and those like screen pass, everything's just kind of killing us. Even passes downfield were killing us. I'm not really sure what to do about it or if we're going to be able to patch it up anytime soon.
I think it's just a lack of experienced talent is pretty much what it comes down to at the end of the day. Auburn got the athletes to do it. It's just you lost a decent amount to graduation in the draft, and then you lost a decent amount to injuries, naming off Simpson, Britt, Bryant, and you're playing with guys that haven't seen a lot of snaps, and they're constantly learning. The defense, thankfully, should get better throughout the season. Here, that's the hope.
We're
The
looking like a
offensive
Big
line.
12 defense right now, so I'm hoping so.
Well, that's
we're not.
that's the basement. That means it's anywhere but up from here.
That's just ridiculous.
Is it though,
Auburn's
Alex?
defense.
Yes.
Did you see the easy runs that got through our defense?
No, Davis. What I saw was the rest of the SEC in an actual Big 12 defense. The Auburn defense played a bad game by comparison to, say, the Auburn defense of the last 4 years. But to say, quote, a Big 12 defense is hyperbolic.
You act like you're not hyperbolic.
No, as the CEO of being hyperbolic, I'm aware when it occurs. And what you said was, in fact, that.
Yeah, I know.
This is the first
Auburn's
time they've allowed –
defense.
how many times have they allowed 30 points in the last 4 years? They didn't allow 30 points again. They're still – heck, they only allowed 28 for that matter. But the point is
That's
that,
30.
I
Count
really
that as
think-
30. That's 2 points away.
Yeah, round that up. I did
Come
math.
on, brother. They didn't allow 30 because they only actually allowed 29 points. Our
No,
defense is
that
still the
wasn't-
best in the country.
Davis,
Get that out of my
wasn't-
face. Get that out of my face. We did not play good on
Davis,
defense.
The point still stands. They're not a Big 12 defense.
My point was that our defense does not look good right now.
That's fair.
Oh, my God.
Auburn is not sponsored by Dr. Pepper like the Big 12 is.
You're right.
Yeah,
That
they're
is,
not.
that is correct. That is the
Get
source of the
Dr.
issue.
Pepper out of here. Jack.
Stop hating on Dr. Pepper.
No, Jack. Auburn against Arkansas.
Really liked going up 17-0. That was a good. It was a welcome change to the Auburn of the past few years. but in true Auburn fashion, Arkansas was allowed back in it. And I think in terms of the rushing game, I don't know exactly the optics of how this was working, but it seemed to me that because of the rain, there were enormous holes for both running backs. So as much as I want to consider this game to its full extent, I can't take this game offensively as seriously as I'd like to because of how limiting the rain was for both offenses in terms of play calling ability. Auburn probably wasn't able to call as many both downfield and to the middle passes they'd like to. There was probably a lot of just draw plays drawn up. I think Gus kind of realized that the swing passes weren't working in the rain, and that I think if Gus had continued to run the ball as effectively as they were doing, went up 17-0, this game wouldn't have gotten as too close for comfort as it ended up being. But when you look at Auburn's defense, I think they were playing cat and mouse with the momentum the entire game. After going up 17-0, they did allow Arkansas 2 drives, and I mean that's all you need. I mean, Auburn dominated the game, but they allowed Arkansas to have maybe 5 good minutes in that first half to go down and score 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. And we'll all be thankful about that, the rain for that missed extra point, because that kind of flipped the scoring on its head. But in terms of going into the second half, it seemed that Auburn's offense slowed down and went back to the swing pass in a way that wasn't effective when running the ball was. I mean, Seth Williams, obviously, he played his heart out, and he always will, but he can't catch the ball on every play. So I think maybe the worst defensive play was the 30-yard touchdown pass from Arkansas. You can't let that happen. That was probably the worst moment of the game, I think. But other than that, a serviceable game. I think the offense should have scored a lot more. I think maybe 2 of these field goals they had to kick, but on for 6.
Alex, I feel like you have a lot to say, especially
I mean,
covering
when
Auburn
do I not have a
football.
lot to say, Jared?
Oh, lay it
That's-
on me.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll admit, maybe I was a little wrong. The defense did not play a great game, but it's difficult for me to look at this objectively just because at the end of the day, the offense has had how many years to figure it out and just, because the defense has, for the last 4 years, have been a defense that can win them football games. Now, I don't think this defense is a defense that can win Auburn a game. I think it's a team that will not lose them a lot of games. I think it'll give the offense opportunities, but this is definitely not a defense that can win the team games. But at the end of the day, I mean, the offense is the same that it was. After Kentucky, we're like, oh man, the Chad Morris offense looks brand new. At this game, I didn't really see anything that made me say, okay, this is different from the year before. And then Gus comes out and is like, I haven't called the play all year. Well, it looked the same. I mean, you've got ineptitude in the red zone over the last 2 weeks, especially this week when their plays were a fade to Seth Williams, despite the fact that they were running the ball down the field about as efficiently as they have all year, and as efficiently as they have the last 2 years, for that matter. Then they run a jet sweep to Schwartz, again, despite the fact that nobody on Arkansas's roster could stop Tanks Bigsby at the line of scrimmage because nobody had. And then I don't remember what they ran again, and I don't understand why the offense looks exactly the same to me. Because it's a lot of the same plays from the same playbook, which makes me wonder exactly what is going on.
They're using the same playbook, just a different person.
No, I mean,
I
really.
would say it's just Gus's playbook in Chad Morris's hands.
Because, I mean, you've got, of course, the sugar huddle, which works once every, decade at this point.
Sugar huddle.
And you've got, of course, my favorite play of all time, the one where Bo and the running back run to the right just for Bo to hand the ball back off to the left, which never works ever. And it made me annoyed because Arkansas ran it 3 times and it worked. So I'm really wondering how Auburn can't get it to work, but that's beside the point. It looks the same to me. And again, there's, of course, the fact that they just refuse to throw it in the middle of the field. Which
Auburn don't know what slants are.
I mean, no, they really don't. They just don't throw the ball in the middle of the field ever. And I don't understand why they don't, because it's worked when they do it and they just don't do it. And
It's
it's just
frustrating.
frustrating because this team once again has the talent and they just, they do 4 wide receiver sets and one of their wide receivers is Shanker, who they have him out there to block, even though he can't block. So I'm not really sure what his purpose on the field is, but that's beside the point. I
Let JJ Pegues throw the ball.
Honestly,
honestly, they ran that Wildcat twice. It worked the first time. The second time, it was a horrendous snap by Nick Brown. They're like, nope, not going to run it again, despite the fact that it works in short yardage situations. Heck, it worked on 1st and 10. And
To be fair, I'm okay with the way Tank was running. I think it was okay just to keep feeding Tank.
Absolutely, I'm fine with that. But if if you're going to run the sweep with Schwartz, why not run it with JJ? Because most teams are afraid that he's going to run up the middle. That's probably where the sweep would work its best. Because again, that's. But again, I don't know.
I feel the pain. Don't worry.
It's so frustrating because again, I can't be mad at the defense. I can't be mad at Kevin Steele after everything that's happened in the last 4 years. I'm like, you know what? If you're not as great as you were the last 4 years, if you're an average defense now, I can't be upset because the offense still has opportunities and they still faltered twice.
When the Auburn Empire falls, when Rome eventually falls, it won't be the defense that would be the discussion behind it.
Exactly.
Auburn had good defenses.
Exactly.
Auburn had national championship defenses.
Yeah, I mean,
nobody's going to dispute
they had
that.
one in 2018. They had one in 2016 for that matter.
Yeah. But when Auburn had a great defense, the offense wasn't there. When Auburn had a great offense, the defense just kind of was just... It wasn't even the defense wasn't there. It was just they just weren't as good as other Auburn defenses. Still good,
exactly.
Just not as good as other Auburn defenses. They weren't the Auburn level. And then the one day that both of them are not good, well, that's probably when the Empire does fall.
That's called 2012 for you. I mean, really. And obviously, I'm not saying we're going towards that level of bad because we aren't, but that's just the most recent example where top to bottom the team was awful.
Well,
2015.
What?
2015.
The defense was good then.
I wouldn't say it was good. It was serviceable.
I mean, I thought they were okay. I'm gonna have to look back at it, but I recall them being relatively good. I mean,
the defense won Auburn a few games that year, but they.
I mean, for me, it's different.
You might be saying bad if you're comparing it to 2012.
Oh,
and that wouldn't be fair to call 2015 defense like that.
Okay. I just remember it was Muschamp's first year, and comparatively to 2014, the defense was significantly better. Because in
2014 and 2013 defenses were just horrendous.
Well,
and I mean, honestly, even in 2015, despite the fact they weren't great, the offense also left them out to dry pretty much the entirety of the season at that point. Because, I mean, that was 3-and-out offense where Gus would just have Gadget, Chandler Cox, Wildcat, and it's like, what's happening?
Well, Auburn is 2-1. I think it's safe to say that I don't think any of us will guess Auburn's record correctly at the end of the season because I don't think any of us.
I mean, you can't
really
because
I'm saying 5-5.
They're favored by 3 against South Carolina. I think that's all you really need to know.
I mean, Jared, I'm sure you'll use this to segue into the other SEC games, but we really don't know what's going on with every other SEC team, considering what we saw around the country this past Saturday.
That's true. That's fair. And that was to segue into the rest of SEC football. Some scores from around the league. Alabama, 63. Ole Miss, 48. That wasn't college basketball. That was an actual football game that happened. And it's funny because the same day Auburn ran the promo inside the stadium of, hey, remember 2010 Auburn, Arkansas, the most high-scoring game in SEC history? Yeah, not anymore. It is now Ole Miss, Alabama, 2020. Georgia defeated Tennessee 44-21 after kind of a back-and-forth opening between both teams. Georgia took the lead and
was
never
winning
looked
at
back.
halftime. And got blanked in the second half.
Texas A&M. See, I told you guys there was a game on the docket that was going to be close for no matter what the reason was. It was going to be this game. And
Kyle Trask is still going to win the Heisman.
Hey, I love it. College Trash Heisman. But I'm going to take this time to say that the Hellman curse is now transcending airwaves. And the moment you said that, Florida was doomed. And I should have knew that. I should have knew
Trask didn't
that.
do anything wrong.
He didn't do anything wrong, but the team... Actually, this is a great... If anybody has time to look this up, look it up. When was the last time a Heisman winner won the Heisman and his team wasn't in at least a New Year's Six bowl?
Lamar Jackson.
What game did he play in? Was he not in New Year's Six?
No, they were like
Music City
94.
Bowl.
Okay, because
I think they played in the Music City Bowl that year.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty average.
it dawned on me. I was like, man, even if you were the actual best player in college football, if your team doesn't make it to New Year's Six, I mean, your odds go down dramatically.
Oh yeah, I mean,
And so
That's
it's
correct.
in a season where like it's very volatile and you don't know where your team's going to end up. Some people like their Kyle Trask, who is playing like a Heisman contender, may not end up in New York because for whatever reason Florida dropped 3 games because they lost to A&M for whatever reason, even though Trask plays out of his mind.
Or
Which
if
is-
you
which
play
is
on
sad.
the West Coast, they have to watch your games.
That's true. That's also true.
I mean, it is very difficult to win the Heisman if you're not on like a great team because you have to be undisputed best. Like, RG3 won it because 5 games into the season he had more touchdowns than he had incompletions. And like that was a crazy thing at that point. And also that win over Oklahoma basically cemented it. But for Trask, I mean,
Rest in peace, RG3.
what?
Nothing.
Oh, for Trask, I mean, he's going to have to beat Georgia, and he's going to have to beat Georgia handily. He's going to have to look good. He can't, throw 250 yards and a touchdown. He's got to be good, and he's got to be the reason Florida beats Georgia at this point.
Yeah, the East is a toss up right now because
Yeah.
even though it's Florida Georgia, right? I mean, Tennessee showed a good first half. You got to play 4 quarters. So Tennessee's up there.
Missouri is getting ready to gun down somebody else.
Yeah, I don't want to say Missouri, but yeah, Missouri is up there too.
Yeah.
Speaking of Missouri, they defeated LSU 45-41 in a home game for LSU at Missouri due to Hurricane Delta. But Mizzou, it knocked LSU out of the top 25 for the first time in 93, 96 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
A big win for Missouri in that young program. Even if LSU turns out not to be good this year, right? It's still a big win for the program because they needed a kind of a boost, and this is how they got it. South Carolina beat up on the Nerds 41-7, and then Kentucky held Mississippi State to a dreaded 2 points, but they scored 24, so it was okay. And Kentucky got into the win column as Mississippi State went from on top of the world to what was the Mike Leach quote that he said in the post-game press conference?
Roster purge.
Yeah, the dude literally was talking about like the roster may need a purge of malcontents. Like that's some dictator stuff he was talking
But
about.
he's certifiably crazy. He's always said crazy stuff, and like he's always held his players to ridiculously high. Like I remember the amount of times he said stuff like that after Washington State games. Like that's Mike Leach.
I mean,
Or what about, the Texas Tech incident?
wait,
Wait,
I'm talking
what
about
was the
Texas Tech,
Texas
the
Tech?
football program, or Texas Tech Mike Leach incident?
He locked a player in a shed.
Oh yeah.
Was that Mike Leach? I thought it was somebody else.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
like
that might be.
Craig James' son.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
that.
No, I do remember that. For some reason, I thought it was a different coach, but
Is KJ Costello basically just like Fitzmagic on the Bucks just on steroids? Because
Yeah.
Fitzmagic in 3 games was the best quarterback in football, and then it was like, wait a minute. KJ Costello was the best quarterback in the SEC for 5 seconds.
Well, it was against LSU.
That's true, but
It's-
I think that's a fair
I
point.
mean, he comes out and throws, in the past 2 weeks, he's thrown 7 interceptions,
I believe so. Yeah.
and maybe two pick sixes.
KJ Costello's roller coaster went the same trajectory as Khalil Tate did when Kevin Sumlin got there.
Oh, Don't remind me of
That's how
that.
fast that thing tanks. So fast, it tanks so fast.
Every time I think of Khalil Tate with Kevin Sumlin, I just get sad.
Well,
What could have been?
what could have
Exactly.
been?
I will say, based on everything that's happened, say a prayer for the Auburn offensive coach at LSU. Because if they struggle against LSU, I mean, I I don't know. But if they struggle against LSU and Ole Miss, I think there it could get rather what's the word, hostile, because nobody is struggling against Ole Miss and LSU. I don't think anybody will except for Vanderbilt. So I mean, I
Yeah.
think these two games coming up are very. I mean, if Ole Miss scores 70 on you, that's not as concerning if you don't score like 40 on them. Because I mean, when I was watching that Ole Miss Bama game, I'm like, Ole Miss cannot afford to kick a field goal because their defense will not stop Alabama, and they didn't. So
But as far as the SEC goes, kind of what the big takeaways from the weekend was, like Jack said, we don't know how the SEC is going to shake out anymore. I mean, it is no man's land right now. I mean, yeah, you got Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee pretty much all, fighting for the East, and in the West, it's Alabama, A&M, and Auburn for now. I say that, very, be careful. Uh, and that's for a lot of conferences. Don't think this is just an SEC thing. Uh, it seems like every conference is unstable except for the ACC, which is still unstable, but they were always just Clemson and everybody else. So, and every time I mention Auburn, my internet keeps saying it's unstable. So I think we need to stop talking about Auburn because I don't think
So
anybody
is
likes
the
it.
Alabama Georgia game? Is it in Athens or is it in Tuscaloosa?
Tuscaloosa.
Yeah,
Let the fans in.
yeah.
I mean,
Capacity crowd.
This is
I thought
bigger
Georgia
than
was going to
football.
bring
This is
back the
bigger
hot
than the
dog.
virus.
Alabama Georgia is the big game this week. I know game day's going there, and that is also the extra point game of the week. Speaking of college pick'em, updated standings. I lead the way at 33-17. Davis is tied at second at 31-19. Alex and Bay's actually in third place. I never switched it around at 31-19. Alex is in fourth place at 30-20. Jacob is 31-19. Jack, did you ever submit a pick'em?
Jared, I humbly apologize for not submitting a pick'em.
Well, I'll forgive you this time. I'll make them pick.
I'll pick what I would have picked.
I'll make them pick FCS games and let them struggle with that. But is there anything else in college football that we want to get into outside of SEC now?
Did
Big
Jacob go
12.
9-1?
Yeah, Jacob did well.
Nice.
That's a
I mean,
miracle.
Why you sound so surprised, Alan?
He's still in the back, but he did not.
Surprised
He
too.
did
Jacob has come on this show and said he's terrible at picking before. So like I'm commenting on Pat like now we're
Hey, don't look
Davis
at the extra point playoff gauntlet, but Jacob's in sole position of first place now.
really.
He got a whopping
Mine,
10 points in the second round.
I'm in third, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. Fill out your extra point playoff gauntlet championship series. A lot of cool superlatives I found in there. They're a lot of fun to pick. So make sure you fill those out before today's game 2 and game 1. But we can go into college football as a whole. Yeah, the Big 12's dead. I don't know if you guys knew, but it's gone. It is solely in possession of Iowa State now. I feel like in my head. So go Cyclones.
They can get a few non-conference games. They can kill a different conference.
That's true. That is true. I'm trying to.
Well, except the Sun Belt. They can't kill the Sun Belt.
Yeah, they can't.
I guess the sun against a black hole, the sun wins. That was our scientific experiment for 2020.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
What? I thought it was a pretty good comparison.
I thought it was good, but Clearly, the only person allowed to make black hole college football references are Jared, and exclusively Jared.
Yes, I copyrighted those. Can't
No,
take
you
those. Yeah, I did.
You didn't.
Check the
There
patent
you go, and
office.
season to assist me.
Yeah, check the patent office. You know.
Can we just?
Iowa State and Kansas State does lead the Big 12 at 3-0. Clemson State's at 2-0. Do want to say that?
Can we just laugh at the fact that look, I don't want to make fun of anybody because that's beneath me. I don't want to do that.
That's beneath you.
Yeah,
It's not beneath me. Who is it? I'll make fun of him.
but
Who is
no,
it? Who,
Jared.
wait, who are we talking about?
Jared, I was just setting up to brutally make fun of Texas, and you ruined it.
No, who are we talking about? We're talking about Texas?
Yes. The fact that they've been back for like 5 years and they're still terrible.
They are terrible.
There are 2 quarterbacks wearing number 11 in Texas who suck. Kellen Mond and Sam Ellinger, for that matter. So.
Oh, Kellen Mond got to win, though.
No, because the fact is that people have been waiting for them to be, take the next step since they were freshmen in college.
That doesn't make them bad, though, Alex.
Okay. Well, I can't stand. They're painfully average quarterbacks to me.
Just say they're overrated.
Jacob, you may want to balance before this thing gets even more heated.
That's exactly what I was going to do.
What?
Go Braves. Mix it up.
The Braves are losing game 1 anyway, so it's all right.
Oh.
What?
It's tough.
Max Fried.
They're losing
It's
game
his
1.
night. It's his night.
Okay, whatever you
Walker
want to tell yourself.
Bueller can't pitch against this lineup.
Okay. Say what you want.
See y'all soon.
Kisses. Okay. Texas. How trash are they, Alex?
Charlie Strong got fired from Texas after going 1-3 against Oklahoma. Tom Herman's currently 1-4 against Oklahoma. He has 1 win with the iconic Dicker the Kicker line from Gus Johnson. We all remember that probably. But since then, it's the same problem, just on repeat. I think everybody remembers that picture of CeeDee Lamb from last year when he's surrounded by like 5 Texas defenders and he scored. Let's never forget that one. There's no excuse for them not being great. There are no major competitors within their own state, really. There aren't.
A&M.
Yeah, but A&M's fight song is referring to Texas as the varsity team. As Jack let me know a few weeks ago about that, which I had no idea. But, even A&M, no matter what, it's difficult to say that A&M is really a competitor. Sure, A&M will get the scraps maybe, but A&M is not the University of Texas.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
There's no excuse for them to be that bad on defense.
They're in the Big 12. That's their excuse.
But there still isn't.
No, that's their excuse. They're in the Big 12.
High schools in Texas play defense. High schools in Texas play defense. They have defensive players. So I'm wondering.
Yeah, but then when they get to the Big 12, right, it's like an RPG. They get like negative $30 stats. Okay? That's how Big 12 defenses work.
Right, of course.
It's true. The Big 12 does not rely on defenses. That's why the Big 12 has always been trash when they play teams with good offenses and good defenses, right? Yeah. The Big 12 is just a shootout waiting to happen. We're going to play each other and score 60 points a game, but the moment we got to play another team, we realize, we can't win a shootout because they actually have a good defense.
Yeah.
It's the crux. It's the crux. And until the conference itself gets better at defense, the Big 12 is not going to do anything.
That's true.
It's like the Pac-12 and not cannibalizing themselves. They beat each other up and then they realize, oh snap, if we beat each other up, we're not going to make the playoffs.
That just saves them from embarrassment on a national stage because no one in the Pac-12 is good enough.
Well, even if they got to the national stage, not like anybody knows what happened to them because they don't watch the games that night anyway.
Exactly.
So, we're getting to this point where you got the SEC, you got the ACC. I say ACC, you have Clemson, right? Because I picked Virginia Tech. Okay, I'm not gonna back down from that. I still think North Carolina's pretenders. Okay, they're an imposter. And then you got
Sam Howell's pretty good.
He's good, but that team is a lot more vulnerable than what a number 5 team should be.
UNC being top 5 is fine. It is. I mean, because it's all top five, but then they're going to play Clemson. They're going to lose by 40. I really don't think they stand a
This
chance.
dude, Sam Howell, got 250 yards passing on 18 completions.
which is amazing. Virginia Tech. The game was close up until the game was first a blowout, then it got close, and then it was a blowout again.
Yeah, then Tech had a 23-point third.
Yeah. But I mean, this is a Virginia Tech team that put up how many points? What was the final score? Like 56-45.
56-45.
Wow, I don't remember watching the game, and I remember the score. But this is a Virginia Tech team that A should not have been able to put up that many points, and B, I mean, like Alex was mentioning, they were missing 21 players, and I didn't even think it was going to be that close to begin with.
Yeah.
That's not a good indication for North Carolina that you had a team that was missing probably 1/3 to 1/4 of the roster, and they still put up 40+ points on you. That says a lot about your team. I don't know what North Carolina's schedule is, but I can't assume that it's going to be easy on from here on out. Just taking a look at the ACC North Carolina schedule. They're 3-0, but they got to play Florida State, which they're favored by 10 right now. Then they got to play NC State, and then later on the season they play Notre Dame and Miami back to back.
Oof.
Yeah. And then they end the season with Western Carolina, excuse me. So, I mean, there's at least 3 losses. I say at least. There's probably 2 to 3 losses on that schedule.
Dang, dude.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason for me to believe that they're going to beat Notre Dame. They will compete against Miami. I don't think they'll beat them. And I think NC State's going to show them up. I really do. Because that's a big game. Yes.
Hey, dude.
Hey, I'm on the North Carolina hate train. Get Notre Dame at it.
I
Replace Notre Dame with North Carolina, and I'm there. Yes, Alex.
Somewhat breaking news.
It's about the
This from
Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons. What?
It's about the Falcons.
Yeah.
I was about to get there with their interim head coach.
Okay. Yeah. In that case, you got it.
I just wanted to wrap up college football before we went over to the NFL right quick.
Yeah.
Are we doing college football?
I mean, there's not much else to be said.
Yes. Auburn didn't play great. SEC's in turmoil. Big 12 sucks. Red River rivalry, 4 overtimes. It was crazy.
Ole Miss has a really good quarterback.
Ole Miss does have a really good quarterback. And Saban talked about how Ole Miss maybe knew their defensive schemes and plays. Conspiracy
That
time.
was so. And then Lane was like, "That's ridiculous."
Hey, I'm just saying, quarantine ain't doing Lane any favors. He looks exhausted.
Don't we all?
Thing is, though, you say that, but Lane has looked like that since he went to Florida Atlantic. Like I remember, he left Bama, and then he comes in and takes pressers with Florida Atlantic. You're like, wait, what happened to Lane?
He's a man. All right, let's head up to the NFL. Alex, I'll let you have that breaking news about the Falcons' head coaching situation.
Name. So, following the Falcons finally firing Dan Quinn, probably 2 years too late, they have named defensive coordinator and former head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Raheem Morris, their interim head coach.
We finally did it. We are finally free.
Now, is that a good hiring? I don't know, because Raheem Morris's tenure in Tampa Bay was awful. But
the way I look at it is, he was already your defensive coordinator. It's for an interim basis. You're already 0-5. You might as well shoot for the basement at this point. What does it matter?
Atlanta's defense was arguably their worst part of the team.
When you name an interim head coach, it's not that he's there to win. Although I mean he's gonna try to win because he wants to put his hat in there for next head coach, right? But it's more of, I got to put somebody in there that the players like and rally around so they don't leave.
That's fair.
So he's probably, if we Google Raheem Morris, it's probably that he's a player's coach, and that's probably why he's there. It's probably why he's the interim head coach right now.
That's true. He was in Washington as a defensive backs coach when he left. A lot of players were upset about it. So that's good.
There you go. He's a player's coach. They need somebody to rally around. If they're going to be bad, or at least going to be bad around this guy we like, not a guy we dislike.
They're going to get the first pick in the draft. They'll at least do it, while being happy.
But the big news is Dan Quinn, the nightmare in Atlanta, is over. Because it took Teddy Two Gloves and the Carolina Panthers to end Dan Quinn's tenure in Atlanta. From the collapse in Super Bowl to every other major Atlanta collapse from there on out, the nightmare is over.
I mean, he was so terrible. It really is kind of crazy they didn't fire him already.
Like, the moment I saw a tweet, and it was AtlantaFalcons.com, so the official Atlanta Falcons website, right? They put out an article talking about how players were, like, defending their head coach. And I was like, if the official Falcons page is putting out quotes about players defending their head coach, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
And boom, there it was.
I mean, Falcons are probably going to throw a parade.
I would. I'd throw a parade right now. I don't even like the Falcons.
I mean, this guy cost them a Super Bowl and then has wasted the rest of Julio Jones' career with the Falcons. So I really don't think he's going to stay. And Matt Ryan is 35 years old, I think. So
yeah,
his career is nearly over.
Which is why I was like, I know Matt Ryan. That offense is still. This is the first game where they weren't that effective on offense, right?
Also,
which I think first, before I get into it, I want to say, even though they didn't have Julio Jones, the Panthers did such a great job at holding down that Falcons offense, which still has a lot of weapons on it, even without Julio Jones. So credit to the Panthers, right? I know we like to say, haha, Falcons ineptitude cost them the game, but give credit to the Panthers defense for shutting down a lot of weapons, such as your Calvin Ridley's. Matt Ryan wasn't able to do much. They got Todd Gurley. I mean, there's a lot of weapons of that team, and the Panthers did a really good job. The Panthers have really impressed me in the first 5 weeks of the season. And honestly, I mean, they really should be 4-1 because I really do believe they could have beat the Raiders. But I think the Panthers have played very well in the beginning of the season. And, I mean, don't look now, but I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to curse him or anything like that. So, but the only thing about Dan Quinn's firing is that it's kind of a disgrace that Adam Gase wasn't the first to go and Dan Quinn was.
Yeah.
Commander Adam Gase, you mean?
Because I don't know how Adam Gase still has a job. That dude is certifiably buns, okay?
He has more double-digit losses than he has actual wins.
That stat by himself should get you fired.
Like, how does that really happen?
Oh, I think we should also point out the Falcons also fired their GM in the same on the same day.
That's tough.
So, not only did Dan Quinn get fired, he took somebody down with him, which honestly, that's probably the Falcons' first win of the season, if we're being
honest.
honest.
Got beat by a backup running back.
Yeah. But Adam Gase still has a job. Dan Quinn does not. So if you had all your money on Dan Quinn being the first one to go, not Adam Gase, congratulations, you just won some money. Big news yesterday, obviously, was Dak Prescott going down for the Cowboys. That was tough. Watched it live. That wasn't great.
I thought the craziest thing was the moment he gets hurt, like,
they zoomed in on it.
He's clearly in shock, because then he picks up his leg and stomps it on the ground as if he thinks he's gonna put it back into place. And I was like,
that's some blitz the league type stuff right there. I've seen that before.
Hey, Tony Romo said it was just a cramp.
That's a street ball move.
Wait, did Romo actually say that?
No, before they went to commercial, Tony Romo said, we're hoping this is just a cramp. Because, at that point, he had just gone down and grabbed his head.
Oh, there was, no shot of it?
I mean, not when they came back from commercial, there was.
Oh, but, before that, Romo probably hadn't seen anything?
Yeah, Tony Romo had, a Vietnam flashback because of all the fires that happened to him in that stadium.
I could have swore they played an instant replay before they went to commercial, but maybe I'm getting
I
my
did
timeline
too.
mixed up.
Like I thought it was
I-
clear live the second he did it.
I
Like,
just remember Romo's first reaction to it was, "We're hoping this is just a cramp," because probably from his angle, he just saw him go down and grab his ankle.
and honestly, I'm sure Dak stomping his leg on the ground probably made it a bit more confusing because
Well, he
normally
did
that's
grab
not-
his calf too. He grabbed his calf too, and he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, we'll give Romo the pass on that one.
they zoomed in on it, and I was like, either his shoe has come off,
His
Right.
shoe blew up.
or his ankle is not in the right place.
Yeah.
And God, it could have happened to a better.
So I have an update on it apparently.
Yeah.
So initial reports in Dallas compared it to the injury to Alex Smith
Don't tell me
2
that.
years ago.
Don't tell me
Which that comparison is not accurate, but that's beside the point. But they were able to do surgery immediately to minimize the chance of infection, which is a very common thing with a compound fracture, which is what that was. And Dak is going to be released today.
Is Alex
Yeah.
in kinesiology? Wow.
No, that was actually an update from my grandparents who were in Dallas.
Released from the hospital.
Yeah, that's what they said. Which,
is that them right now releasing them? I can hear them.
I mean, that's what they said, and I'm not sure about that one, but that they could release him if they went in and realized it wasn't as serious as it was.
I mean,
'Cause-
the only reason why it's probably compared to Alex Smith was because of the compound fracture. Because I don't think you don't see that a lot in the NFL.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah,
gonna say
but-
Gordon Hayward because that's a totally different league.
And the fact that Alex Smith literally came back to the NFL on the same day.
Alex
That's
Smith
true.
took all the power away.
But
And,
when
It's
Smith,
like it's one injury that as soon as someone gets over it, it gets passed to someone else.
yeah, it's like that movie It Follows, but we won't
And
talk
it's-
about
it's
we won't talk about the plot of that
always-
movie because I don't think it's radio safe or TV
It's
safe.
always in the NFC East as well.
that's true. I mean, for me, it was just I thought Alex Smith's injury was he like split his leg in half at the tibia and fibula, but I mean, I think Dak will probably be back in a year. But now all the arguments are about the fact that he didn't sign that 5-year contract.
Hopefully, I mean, Jerry Jones and Dak go to the table and they're like, all right, let's get this deal done. By the time Dak went down, right, he was, stats-wise, okay, the best quarterback in the NFL. I mean, the man led almost every category. He was first in passing. He was first in touchdowns, right? I know, like, we think, well, was it Russell Wilson in first place? No. Dak Prescott was in first place in a lot of categories in the NFL.
He wasn't first in touchdowns, Jared.
It was close. I'm trying to remember the graphic. There was 4 stats where he was first place. One of them, he was tied first place. I mean, Dak Prescott was playing at one of the highest levels. He was one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Once again, stats-wise, because you can make the argument that you can pass all you want to, but if your team's not really good, how good are you as a quarterback? That's neither here nor there. But Dak Prescott deserves to be paid. That probably changes with the injury now, unfortunately. Like, that's just kind of like the reality situation that he's probably going to get less money now. But the man deserves a contract. If the Cowboys let him walk, right, and I know there's going to be like injury concerns that he's not going to be the same when he comes back, but who's better than Dak Prescott? I believe Dak Prescott will be a better quarterback after this injury than any quarterback you find in the draft because you're not getting Trevor Lawrence. Unless you're really just going to, go for the tank at this point. And Andy Dalton, Red Rocket over here, looking like he turned back time about 5 years in that last drive because he was throwing darts.
The human pumpkin spice latte will be serviceable for now.
So, I mean, the Cowboys look okay for right now. The defense needs to get healthy, but they're in the NFC East, which means they're always in the driver's seat to win. I can't
Let's
I can't
see.
argue against that.
The Eagles lost. The team lost, and Giants lost. Is that the Cowboys in first?
I believe, yes, the Cowboys are in first. Go
Oh.
boys. Go boys. So they'll make it, hopefully. They gotta keep on the
Speaking
trajectory.
of first place in the division, Teddy Two Gloves and the Carolina Panthers marched into Mercedes-Benz Stadium and did what no Panthers team, Cam Newton or otherwise, has been able to do in the last 5 tries, which is beat the Falcons at home.
Panthers going 14-2.
Well, the Panthers do have a 5-run gauntlet that's pretty that's gonna decide the season pretty much. When you got to play the Bears at home, which I know we think about the Bears, but the Saints inside Mercedes-Benz, the dome version, or I say the Superdome version.
Maybe the Saints players will stop fighting with each other by then.
They play the Falcons again, and what will be, I guess, the Falcons Revenge Tour or the Falcons Celebration Tour, depending on how you look at it. Then they play the Chiefs and the Bucks. So,
Okay, 13-3.
Yeah, I see 4-1 in that stretch, Jared.
wait, who's the loss?
You will find out.
Well, I mean, that's a probability game. It could be anybody.
Infinite possibilities, Jared.
Don't start that with me right now.
I think it's not. Okay.
The Panthers have beaten a host of below-average teams and are like, all right, y'all, we're
come
going.
on.
Oh my God, Alex! You defended Dwayne Haskins religiously
no.
for the
You're
past
gonna
3
talk-
weeks. I want to hear
You're
anything
gonna
from
talk
you.
crap about Kyler Murray
I mean,
and Hunter Henry,
but lately,
It's
Eric Parrott.
time out. First of all, it's Kyle Allen okay? Alex, what's up down on Kyle Allen?
no, he just got a concussion. They don't want to put him back in and risk it because the offensive line could not block. So putting, Alex Smith with his surgically repaired leg was apparently a better.
It was. I feel so bad.
Aaron Donald said, "Who?" and just killed him.
That's true, but he got up. So
That
that's
was
all.
brutal.
Like,
You see him on the sideline. He said, "Damn, he has a strong leg."
And he said he enjoyed the first hit, but the second one didn't feel as good.
what is
First
Kyle Allen?
football-
A sadist?
Is Alex Smith a masochist?
No, it was just his first football contact in 693 days.
Okay, yeah, but you still want to get freaking destroyed by Aaron Donald? You have fun doing that?
I mean, if football is your livelihood and you don't get to really play it, and that's part of the game, then I mean, honestly,
I need my CTE.
let me get some of that CTE.
I think if we're going to talk about poor offensive line play, we have to bring up the Cincinnati Bengals.
Wait, first, I just want to say I kind of feel bad about last week because I talked about how Kyle Allen will be added to the Washington graveyard of quarterbacks, and he literally got knocked out of the game. They almost lowered him into the grave by the time the first half rolled around.
however, we should. However, I mean, it just gives us an opportunity to see Alex Smith on the field, which he will win comeback player of the year, or at least he should. Even though he probably won't play nearly as
Will
good as other
he?
people coming back from injury.
What about Teddy Bridgewater?
Yeah. What about Teddy Two Gloves?
I mean,
Alex, you're biased.
Davis, do you need to see the photos?
Of his injury?
I just want to say Teddy Bridgewater also got a knee injury.
Hey,
so.
I just want to let you know, Alex, there's more than one criteria for comeback player of the year than just coming back. You actually have
And
to
also playing for the football team. So
Yeah.
God.
He's already at a disadvantage.
He shouldn't have his leg. You don't understand it. The fact that he's playing.
wait, Alex, does he have his leg?
Yes, but
Oh, there you go.
that's ridiculous, and you know it is.
Look, I love Alex Smith,
I do too.
but he didn't win.
That's facts.
Doesn't
He
matter.
didn't even play that good.
He won the game of life because you know why? When he took the field and they showed his wife and his 2 sons and his daughter cheering, he already won the game.
Indeed.
He did. But he didn't win it stats wise.
No, absolutely.
Teddy Bridgewater won stats wise. Teddy Bridgewater has 3 wins. Teddy Bridgewater will be your comeback player of the year.
Facts.
Alex Smith will be the comeback player of the year in my heart. But not according to the NFL.
Nah, he'll win it.
He technically did come back, but at what cost?
What?
Exactly.
He played bad, is my point.
At what
To be
cost?
fair, the team played bad. And they didn't.
Speaking of playing bad, the Cincinnati Bengals,
There we go.
man, they suck.
There's news about
Their offensive line better be buying Joe Burrow's meals because poor guy.
There's also news about AJ Green. Just rumors right now. I don't think anything's confirmed, but he wants out of Cincinnati. They're just rumors. But
He definitely does. Did you see how he just let passes go by him? He just took business decisions.
I mean, I'd be upset too. I mean, AJ Green's probably in a I want to win somewhere now scenario. And I don't know what his contract situation is in Cincinnati right now, but he wants out. So, I mean, if you're the Bengals, AJ Green could probably fit you a second round pick at least, right? I mean, it sucks. Bill O'Brien's not a GM anywhere, so you can't offer up a king's ransom, right? But you can probably get something from him.
You can probably see if they can get Cleveland to botch the paperwork.
Yeah. But the Bengals' offensive line, atrocious. Joe Burrow's going to have PTSD eventually at some point.
Joe Burrow has an interception, quote unquote, on his stat sheet that should not be there. He also threw the ball to a receiver who immediately dropped it, and the Ravens had a scoop and score. Their leading rusher was Joe Mixon, 60 yards on 24 carries.
Ouch.
It's bad.
You know, last week he scored 40 points on me in fantasy, and then he decides to suck next week.
As the life is in fantasy, you know?
Mark Ingram had the same number of rushing yards with half the carries.
Big trust.
And I think
especially sorely era begins now.
And some other big news, and Jack kind of mentioned it. Monday Night Football tonight is Chargers Saints. Michael Thomas isn't playing because he decked somebody in the face during practice. So that's fun stuff. The Saints are 2-2, and it seems like they're having a little bit of scuffles here and there inside the organization. And hey, we have Tuesday Night Football too. Okay, you get ready for Bills Titans on Tuesday on CBS. So
is that the last matchup of undefeated teams this season? Who's still undefeated? The Seahawks?
The Seahawks are undefeated, yeah.
Seahawks and the Steelers. So unless the Seahawks and the Packers play later, this might be our last undefeated bowl.
Probably.
The winner of this game could go on to play the Steelers, I reckon. So this might be the last.
Wait. The Seahawks do play the Bills in a couple of weeks. So the Bills get out of here and keep on going. Don't look now, but the Seahawks may run the table and go undefeated the way they're playing because they don't have many other tough games left.
It's pretty crazy because as probably the most consistently successful team in the NFC in the past 10 years, the fact that they have never started 5-0 is mind-blowing to me.
It really is.
Yeah. I don't think they'll go undefeated though because I really don't think they'll beat the Bills. I really don't.
All right. Go ahead.
I mean, it makes sense because big teams, Super Bowl winning teams, they get thrown into like primetime great games every season.
Yeah,
at the beginning of the season, and then if you're in first, you're playing other first place teams from around the conference. So it makes sense, I guess, but it's just kind of a weird statistical anomaly. And then on top of that, we had the Steelers, who are 4-0 for the first time since 1979.
Yeah, that's like really the Steelers 4-0,
like probably one of the three most successful AFC teams of all time, like the sixth Lombardi Trophy Steelers.
All right, so because we have like 4 minutes to go until I gotta hop over to another call.
Jared.
MLB playoffs.
Oh boy,
Braves fans, be ready because well, we'll see. But the Braves and the Dodgers have first pitch today as they get their series going. And the Rays, they got a 2-1 victory over the Astros. Screw the Astros.
Is this game at night, Jared? I'm tired of...
Which game?
Braves game?
This Braves game while the sun's still up. When?
7:08 start.
Oh, thank
7:08.
God.
You got 3:07 start Central Time for Rays and 8:07 start for the Braves. So
I'm just saying, if the Rays keep wearing the powder blues and the stingray hats, I don't think anybody's beating them.
Well, we'll see. Make sure you fill out your extra point playoff gauntlet pick 'em brackets. You'll be able to pick the games and a lot of superlatives. There's team superlatives. There's series superlatives. There's just general superlatives for the championship series in general. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But just want to end off the show saying good luck to the Braves. Make Atlanta proud because you're literally the only team left that can do it. And just don't choke it away. For the Rays, beat the Astros. I hate the Astros.
So that the Dodgers don't have any motivation to get to the World Series.
Yeah, I don't know if Major League Baseball can survive an Astros-Dodgers World Series during a pandemic, because that just if
that'd be a great season finale of the past 4 years of baseball finally coming to a head. But I think it would suck.
If what I believe is true, and Hollywood writes all the scripts for sports, like the Lakers ending the season as champions, if Hollywood's writing the script, it's going to be Astros Dodgers. But I guess we'll see at the end of the day. So that does it for the show today. Thank you guys for joining me on the program. It's been a lot of fun. I'm going to go hop onto the other call right quick. And then I got to figure out what's wrong with my internet because it's been shoddy all morning. But that does it for the show today. Alex, were you going to say something?
I just said good luck with the internet.
Oh, well.
You too, Davis. Good luck with the internet.
You too, Davis. Good luck with the internet.
We need your Warzone back some talk.
That's ridiculous.
But,
I'm serious. I mean, it's been out since Thursday. I called them about it. They went, we'll fix it soon.
All right, well, go ahead and call them after this show.
I will. I'll call them, but it's a robot lady, so.
No, it's Alexa. For Jacob Hillman, Alex Houston, Davis Carroll, and Jack Hart, I'm Jared Doe saying thank you for joining us on Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 and WEGLFM.com.